part here, the third part of this, on verse 14, Habakkuk 2:14. And make men's, verse 1, 14, chapter 1, verse 14. And make his men's as the fishes of the sea, as the creeping things that have no ruler over them. They take up all of them with the anger. They catch them in their draft. They catch them in their net and gather them in their drag. Therefore they rejoice and are glad. Therefore they sacrifice unto their net and burn incense unto their drag, because by them their portions is fed. In other words, they become rich nations because they exploit the poor nation up on earth. Every time they get to falling down, they go to the poorest nation and continuously rob the poorest nation of the earth, and saying God gave them this. And their net, and their meat plenteous. Shall they therefore empty their net and not spare continuously to slay the nations? Okay, that takes us right here. If you slaying peoples and nations, as spoken of in Habakkuk, you cannot help from turning yourself red, because the blood you spill of other nations become your genetic traits, where God changed, said his white horse transcended into a red horse, and this red horse became in the era of President George W. Bush, from Alexander the Great to President George W. Bush. But he had a black prophets in the middle of this here in Revelation chapter 6, showing you that. But the white horse, the red horse, and the pale horse is all of the origin of the family tree. This is where we're going with this. Let me go to chapter 7, second to Habakkuk chapter 2, and read part of this. I will stand upon my watch, and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me, and said, write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. This is what I'm doing here. I'm making it plain upon tables, that you can read this here. I can't go to the Bible. I can't write a book because everybody's not going to read the book. But if I make it plain where you can take it and put it up on your computer on these tables here, and I can explain to you what's going on today, then you might understand and you might change. But if you omit and fail to read this here, see these here, and refuse to show others that this here God has sent a man here, then when they got to find it out, when they see these things unfolding themselves, but I'm afraid they might lift up and come out of their drunkenness when these things would be upon them. But if they consider these here, not to consider me, but consider the works that I do, and see that these come from God, even if you don't believe in me, believe in God through me, that this is the handwriting of God, that I am just revealing what he spoke over 2,000 years ago. And as you see what's happening today in the world, with the United States of America and the children of God in the Middle East, and if you have just a little wisdom as a mustard seed, you can take and connect the dot with each other and understand this is Bible prophecy unfolding itself. So when you look at that young man that is alleged they were sitting up on that plane trying to blow up the plane, you can say, oh no, this is not that man. This is not that man, because it cannot be that man, and it was spoken of in Bible prophecy 2,000 years or more about, even before Jesus was born, and confirmed after Jesus had went back to his Father in heaven in the Revelation chapter 17, which I got up on this chart. That's where I want to go with this. Chapter 2, Habakkuk chapter 2, and the Lord answered me, and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. It said, wait for it, it'll tarry. But wait for it, it will speak and it will not lie. But wait for it, it will surely come. It will not tarry, meaning it will not delay, meaning it will not stand till it will come back, and it will not come back more. Now, it tells you some of the curses that's going to be upon the United States of America. That they're going to have food shortages in here. We can see the evidence of this now with these big cold waves, and when summer comes, and when heat beam upon the earth, and when man will use these weapons of mass destruction, and it become a massive fallout, and these weapons they use is not only it's going to affect the human life, it's going to affect the natural resources and the way they come up out of earth and produce. All of these things are going to happen because it's going to be the work of God. God going to use man's own work against him. He's going to use his weapons of mass destruction where he used them to try to destroy other peoples and other nations because of a deep hatred, because there's a billion Haitian nations, because they don't like black peoples. I'm telling you, I'm making it plain. Because it's a racial overtone in their voice. Because they want to find a way to kill every black person because he is not of their covenant. Their covenant is the vain covenant because it have no salvation and have no power of everlasting life. It is only to use, to deceive, and to destroy, and try to make other men of God be the servant of this man who have no covenant with God. Instead of them embracing the law of Moses, which Jesus spoke to his disciples in St. John chapter 15 before he left, he said, go and make disciples of men. But if you go out to make a disciples of men, and that man take and force you into his democratized system and cause you to abandon the law of Moses, which you're supposed to use to make a disciple of man, you cannot make a disciple of man if he make you his disciples. And by this means, these nations who God gave this choice will stand in contempt with God because they didn't hold their integrity towards God. Therefore, if they didn't hold their integrity towards God and believe in God and knew that God said whatever they bound, Jesus said whatever they bound on earth, it will be bound in heaven. What he would loose in earth, they would be loose in heaven. In other words, what are you trying to tell them? That you have power to change the world here if you live according to those standards which I gave you in the law of Moses. But if you forsaken the law, through the law of Moses, you become both a curse and a blessing. But if you abandon the law that God gave to Moses and take on that law of democracy, you're no longer a peoples of blessing, but a peoples of curse. Because you have cursed yourself, that which have defiled itself, it can't go and heal that which is defiled as it is. Only that which is whole and is not a curse can have the power to heal. How can you go and heal something and you have a deformity of yourself? It's impossible. If the healing power of the hands of God is in you, as it was when he talked to the Hebrew children, then you're supposed to be able to heal yourself first. But if you cannot heal yourself first, then how can you go and heal somebody else who need healing? You must first obtain the healing for yourself and make sure you're whole unless you faint in the way as you try to heal somebody else. You must be able to understand what is right and what is wrong before you chastise anybody else concerning those things.